What's going on, guys? Today is Tuesday. I'm about to start messing on this bus here, but I thought I was going to start messing on it. We're running into an issue though. So I had a pair of steering lines. I had them ordered, and they were for the Dodge that I took all the parts off of. So since I'm using the Dodge front end, it's got the gearbox and everything on it from a Dodge. And I was going to run power steering hose up to the Chevy power steering pump. So trying to find these conversions and everything is becoming a massive undertaking here, because nobody can seem to find any type of parts. And I got the factory hose, hoping that I might be able to just buy a female fitting, or just have a fitting in general added to another hose. So that there is the fitting that came out of the Dodge gearbox. Now it has a small O-ring that goes on that. Now I'm used to just the old flared fittings. I mean, just simple. Now this right here actually screws into the back of the Chevy power steering pump, so that's not the difficult part. It's trying to convert this into this, and I need it to be 12 feet long. This is an easy thread and fitting to get, but it's this one that I can't. I've went to 3 different part stores. Actually, I'm leaving the 4th one, and all of them make hoses and stuff, and any of them can come up with anything that actually fits. So that's where we're at. Okay, so after getting back to the house and everything, sitting there for a bit, started doing some research on these fittings. And it's a metric fitting. It's 18 millimeter fitting, and it's hard to explain. I really don't know what type of fitting it is, but maybe you guys know. I don't have any want to know, really, just because of the fact that I can't buy it anywhere. But they do make adapters, and I'll show you the adapter right here. All right, so that adapter, it lets me go from an 18 millimeter fitting like that into a 6AN fitting, which they use on fuel lines and other crap like that. You're able to use it for high pressure. So that will be coming off of the gearbox, and then I will run I'll have a line made with the AN fittings. I'll have a line made, and it's going to go all the way to the power steering pump. Now the power steering pump takes a flared fitting like this, and they actually have an adapter that's a male part of this, and it also goes for the 6AN fitting on the other side. So the power steering hose should be female fittings on both sides, and they should be size 6AN, and that will be much easier to deal with than trying to have a line made with 2 different types of fittings on it, and just, it's a mess. We don't need it. So that should cure that problem. All right, well, we're back out on this thing. It is, I think I looked at the gauge, it's 102 degrees outside, so luckily we're working in the shade. But we're gonna knock some things out. Got the emergency brake stuff to work on today. So we're gonna mess with it, try and get that installed, and the fittings and everything that I need for the power steering hose should be here tomorrow. So we'll get that plumbed in and put that on, and then hopefully we can throw the belt on, throw some power steering fluid in it, and just see what happens. All right, I'm gonna show you this little contraption I got here. So the cables come off of the each set of the brake drums, and so I'm gonna have 2 cables, and it's gonna go into actually 1 cable. So I got this right here. Now this is just a piece of strap It's thicker strap, so it should hold sturdy. And this will be bolted to the frame. This piece right here will. These are just 2 valve stems. And what that's actually going to do is going to guide these this cable through here. And then on this other side, I'll have 2 cables coming out. And I'll have a just a connector to connect one line. And that's going to go towards the front where I hooked a hanger or a handle. So I just pull the handle and it should pull both cables at once. So I'm going to mount this and get the cable where it needs to go. That way it doesn't get caught on anything. And this is actually a smooth bore on the inside. So it should be able to turn on it pretty easy. And slide through it pretty easy too. But I'll get this thing bolted up and kind of show you what else is going on too. Now, whenever I cut these, I probably shouldn't have cut them near as short as I did. I actually might have screwed myself here because I don't know how far I can connect that cable. So, we're going to try it. Alright, don't mind the ugliness, but I got that mounted. So you pull this and it returns. Now you pull that one, it returns. So now both of these, we'll go to the wide view here. Oh man, I dropped my deal here. Okay. So now I have both of these cables. Granted, I'm trying to do this one-handed. Hang on. Okay, now I got both cables right there. I'm about to crimp these, and then this cable is going to be a little bit longer because I'm going to use another one of those to connect to a single cable to go all the way to the front. So I should be able to hook that up to the handle. But I'm going to crimp this, and then we are going to run that other cable and see how she works. All right. Got the cable ran up there. And I'm going to make one more guide out of a valve stem. But I don't have one here at the house. So see if we got an old one laying at the shop. If so, throw that on there. And then I need to make a handle. So I'm gonna make a real long handle like I did the gear shift, and something a little bit thicker. That way I can put a lot of force behind it and actually pull it, and hopefully stop whenever I need to. So anyways, I'll get a handle made. And tomorrow fittings and all that should be here, so we should be able to plumb the power steering lines, like I said earlier, and maybe wrap some things up and just get closer and closer. So that's what the goal is to finish this thing and enjoy it and bring in another project. So not sure what it is yet, but I got to finish the one that I have now. All right, guys, just got to the house. And we got some fittings. So this is the one for the Dodge gearbox. And then this one is for the Chevy power steering pump. So you can see how that's actually flared on the inside. That's going to replicate the flared tubing that goes into that power steering pump. And then on the Dodge, you had the O-ring fitting. Now, that other one would actually screw in there, but it wouldn't tighten up because it doesn't have this extra piece at the end of it. So that small tit sticking out is actually what tightens down onto the pump itself. So it's a pretty important part. So now that I got these, I'll run up to O'Reilly's and see if they can't make me a line. That's an AN fitting now. So run up there, see if they can make a line after I get a measurement, and go from there. So let's try it. Well, got the hose made. All 12 feet. Got 90s on both ends, 90s on that end. I guess that would be both ends. So yeah, it's on both ends. Had to refinance the house to be able to afford that. That's some expensive shit. But I have power steering, hopefully. We'll see. Also got myself some bracketry down here. This is going to be our e-brake handle. So it's actually going to be facing towards the front of the bus. Grab on it, be able to pull it. It's made out of some thicker steel. I did that just in case I have to put some massive pressure on this thing. It should be able to withstand it. So got that made. I'm going to crawl under there, cut a slit. Once I get this where I need it to go, I'll go and bolt it down, connect the line to it, and I guess pull the cable and see if it springs back the line or the cable, and go from there. Hopefully it works. I don't know. Everything that I do is kind of a gamble whether or not it's going to work. If it does, the next question is how long is it going to work? So said it multiple times, not a professional. I do this stuff to cause anxiety and stress. That's why I'm here, working on this. All right, so I got that attached here. Got the brake handle actually bolted down. I got my bracket right there, and that goes all the way to the back cables. So we officially have an emergency brake. That's pretty cool. So now that I got that on, I'll go ahead and start plumbing the power steering lines and see what we can do there. That's not half bad. So if you got an emergency, lose your brakes going down the road, yank on that sucker, and actually you can let go because that is actually tight down there. But if you want to release it, push it all the way and you're good. So an emergency, I mean, I'm yanking the crap out of it and nothing's breaking, so I guess it is breaking, but it's not breaking. So anywho, that ought to work pretty good. I like it. All right, now I got my fitting here. So this flared side, it's gonna screw into the pump there. That should tighten up pretty well. I got my wrenches on me. I do got this handy dandy crescent. So it's close enough anywho. So tighten that. We get this line turned and out of the way here. Well, there you go. I got the high pressure steering hose on, and I got the low pressure kind of going underneath there. I realized that I did not grab any 3/8 hose for the return line, so I gotta have the 3/8 fuel line to be able to plumb the rest of that in, and I'm gonna grab that in Chinook tomorrow because it is cheaper. So I'll grab some there at the parts store there, throw that on, grab some power steering fluid too, fill the reservoir up, and kind of cycle it through, see if we have power steering. Actually, I also need a new belt. I forgot about that too. So power steering belt, power steering fluid, and return line for the fluid. Put all that on, and I should be able to fire it up, see if we have power steering, and I'll also be able to test the emergency brake, make sure it works. And then just be that much closer to being done. I got about a month and a half until its first show, so seems like a lot of time, but an hour or two every couple days is really starting to add up. Not add up, but make time fly. So I'm gonna do what I can to get this thing done, and hopefully we can get it there in one piece, because I am gonna drive it to this one. The one in Catoosa, the Burnout 66, I plan on hauling it, but I need to weigh this thing and see how much it weighs. That way I can see if I can fit on a certain trailer or not. But like I said, I'm just going to keep my eye out, just kind of figure out what else I need to buckle down and get done, major component wise. So I'm going to spend a little time looking at that, and we're going to figure out what's next. All right, guys. Finally, Friday. And I got some parts. So got the two belts. End up having to go one size smaller on the alternator belt, because they don't carry the one that I have. So it's all right. There's adjustment so it fit. Transmission line, or transmission hose, they wanted way too much money. I'm not paying $9 a foot for that crap. So I decided I'm not driving this thing very much, and this whole line ought to work. So really it's meant for high pressure air, but we'll see if it works. If it doesn't, shame on me. If it does, at least you know you can use it. So I'm gonna put that on, and we also got some fluid, so we're gonna fill the reservoir up and start it, I guess. See what happens. So, anywho, I'm gonna run this line. All right, got the line ran. It's just running the same way that the high pressure did, and I'm about to fill this reservoir. So, see if we got any leaks. All right, filled up the reservoir, and I went ahead and started it. I just wanted to get the fluid circulating through it and make sure everything was okay and topped off. So right now, though, the pump is screaming pretty loud. So I'll have to look into that. This pump, there was no guarantee if it worked before. I don't even know if it worked on the camper that it came out of. So what I'll probably end up doing is run it for a bit, see what happens. If it's still screaming, I'll price one, see how much one is, throw it on there, see if it fixes it. But we do have power steering, so I'll go and show you that. Don't mind this tack. I haven't taken it off yet. It don't work. I mean, it just bounces all over the place, so that'll be replaced. Don't mind it. But we're going to start this thing. As you can hear, it's screaming, but very scary. So that's awesome. Pretty cool that that works. That'll be a lot nicer trying to drive this thing. All right, so like I said, it does scream. I'm gonna check into that a little bit, see what it possibly could be, and just kind of take a look at it. But right now, I'm gonna go ahead and start it, and we're gonna test and see if this emergency brake works. So we'll set the phone up outside of it. That way, in case it takes off, and once I hit anything, at least I'll get it on camera this time. So, see if it works. Alright, so actually after running for a bit, that pump quit its whining. It only does that a little bit when you turn. Other than that, it sounds good. So I think we're gonna live with it. Alright, 2 major things done this week. Emergency brake, it's okay. You know, I mean, if you get in a spot and you actually have to stop, you can yank on it. It does what it needs to, but this bus weighs a lot. So it's not going to 100% stop it. I mean, I guess it would if you had a half a mile, but as far as like a abrupt stop, it's not happening. I mean, it just slows it down. So we're gonna try not to break the main stopper pedal again. So yeah, that's done. And then we got power steering. That is huge. You know, whenever I drove the Bug, that thing was 16.5 foot long, and the turning radius on it was just about as good as pulling a trailer house. You know, that thing sucked, and it had no power steering trying to turn 35-inch tires. It sucked. So as much as this bus weighs, power steering was a massive, like, needs to happen. So I'm glad that it works, and the pump actually quieted down, so it only kind of screams whenever you turn it. I'm not worried about it. I can live with it. The engine's loud enough, you won't hardly hear it. If you do, I carry tools in the bus, so if you feel like fixing it, go for it. So yeah, power steering and emergency brake. That's cool. That's pretty big things there. Just kind of buttoning up some other stuff, and once I feel comfortable actually getting in it and driving it, I need to work on the cooling system a little bit. I don't 100% trust it yet. I'm not sure what's going on with it. I know my temp isn't changing whatsoever. It's staying, I mean, it goes up. It goes to about 150, and I can feel the pipes that come off of the cooling system here. So if you feel these, they're spicy. So I know that it's running hotter than 150 degrees. So I'm gonna try and change locations on that temp sensor. Hopefully that fixes it. And I may just have a bad one, I don't know. But I'll put it on the side of the block instead of the top of the intake, because I actually think that I'm getting air into the system on the top of the intake. So it's not circulating the water like it should, I don't think. And that could be mainly because the way that I have this pipe coming down from the radiator, so it has to go down, and then it goes across the floor and then back up to the top of the intake. So I don't think there's enough movement in that to be able to move that, because there's no suction. All it's doing is pushing water. So I think it's just trapping air in the top of the intake, and whenever it does that, it can't let the water flow. So that means that all the water in the block is just actually just sitting there. So we're gonna mess with it a little bit. Probably do that next week, mess with the temp sensor and all that. And then I would like to do the windshield, whether it be plexiglass, Lexan, whatever. Probably won't use plexiglass. It breaks just like glass. Lexan is a little bit more flexible, so we'll try it depending on the price. And just kind of button some things up. But whenever I do trust driving it, I'll drive it over the feed mill, throw it on the scale, and see how much this thing weighs. If not, you know, if I don't ever feel comfortable driving it across town because I'm afraid of getting it towed or something, I'll just have a state trooper come out here and throw some scales under it maybe. I don't know. Not sure if I could talk him into that or not. So, that's where we're at. I appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you guys next week.